All right, my friends, how are you today? Aaron here bringing you some honest astrology, talking about the moon moving through the different days leading up to this eclipse here on Monday, the 8th of April, 2024. And today on Saturday, it's the 6th of April, and the sun is in this, or the sun is in the sign of Aries, and it's smack dab, and it's at 17 degrees in between the node, the north node, of course, the ecliptic, and Chiron. Chiron, the wounded healer, which they're all going to be lined up together. The sun, Chiron, the moon are all lined up together. This is about healing ourselves. And of course, with Mercury connected with Eris, this is a lot about healing our minds. Of course, the North Node moving in the direction of Aries. This is about you, your relationship with yourself, how you view these relationships of your past. And with the moon here in Pisces, what we've been talking about yesterday into today, into a little bit of Sunday here is about belief. And we can really believe anything we want. We can believe things that really don't serve us. And if we want to, it's an interesting thing when we get into depression. Sometimes we don't want help. If we get into depression and we're like feeling, sad or down, sometimes we want to remain in that space of solitude, in our own cocoon. And we can have our friends say, hey, come on, let's motivate you and get you excited to crawl out of this shell, to crawl out of this space that you're in. And it's with good reason and excitable reasons to want to get you, their good friend, back to feeling your best, back to feeling your fire, back to being the passionate, loving, compassionate person that you are, right? This is all about, all of this whole eclipse here is getting us back to that excited space. And as well, there is a portion of respecting ourselves in the time that we need. You know what I mean? So if we are the caterpillar that's turning into the butterfly, that chrysalis is extremely important. And for somebody else to want to pull us out of our cocoon space, I know that these words can really be used negatively and to hurt people, but we have to figure out our own balance. But it's just like sometimes we need that opportunity to heal. We need to be able to go within ourselves and heal before we can come back out and be our best selves. So giving ourselves that time, giving ourselves the patience that we need. And as well, when the people come and appreciate them, don't be mad at them. But yeah, like sometimes we can just shun it away, turn the sun off. I don't want to deal with the sun today, and close all of the lights, and we do all this stuff to isolate ourselves. And the moon can isolate when it's in the sign of Pisces. How do we evade? How do we escape dealing with reality? Well, we have to get back out. The whole message here is getting back out in the monkey bars, getting back out onto the playground. This life is a giant playground, and it's important for us to remember that it's a playground, that this is where, all these, conceptually, God is experiencing itself through all of these different humans and all of this we call physical reality life. And that's what this is. God's here to play through you. God's here to experiencing God's self through you. And that's through play, through poetry, through art, through music, through geometry, through buildings, through infrastructures, through taxes. We're experiencing all of this stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So the important thing is for us during this time is to get back in tune with ourselves. And as we're dealing with the moon here between Saturn and Neptune. So it was the end of 2006. I looked it up yesterday of when Neptune moved into Pisces. Okay, 2006. Hold on, let's do this together. Let's do this together, years. Part of me is thinking it's 2011, and I'm screwing this up. So here, we'll go back years, and we're going to watch Neptune right there. Okay. Oh, I was right. It was 2011, not 2006. So 2011, okay. April 6, 2011. All right. So from back in 2011 to 2024 here, we've had Neptune moving through Pisces. This creates confusion, delusion, a media frenzy, the black hole of I don't know what is what. I don't know if this is that or that is this. It takes 176 years for Neptune to go around and to be back in his home sign for approximately 16 years-ish. Adds a lot of confusion. There's a lot of dreaminess, which is wonderful, but there's a lot of confusion that goes around here, a lot of manipulation that's going around here. And again, this deals with the 12th house deals with mental health. So we have a lot of individuals struggling with mental health right now. And we have to get wherever we're at, if we're in a place of healing, we're in that cocoon, that's okay. If it's in the place of, hey, it's opening up the blinds, opening up the windows and getting, letting the fresh air in and creating this change. The other side of that, right, is extremely important. And dealing with our relationships, belief about relationships. There's a lot of this is letting go, South Node pass, letting go of these thoughts and moving toward security of yourself, right? This is a North Node eclipse. So if a lot of astrologers out there, I've talked to some friends, they're saying this is about releasing. No, this eclipse, in a certain sense, anytime we're dealing with these nodes, the South Node is release, okay? And you can see this little quintile happening here. It's connecting to the moon right now. For the next couple of hours. Watch this. Hours, this little boom right there. That septile happening. So that's at 1 p.m. Right now it's 1:12 p.m. So for the next couple of hours today, on Saturday, we have the moon moving through Pisces, smash between Saturn, let's make it real, and dreamy, I'm not sure what's real, Neptune, delusions, ideas, concepts, creativity, all they're positive things, but at the same time, this is the black hole of the zodiac meeting up with, hey, you've been in your imagination too long, you've been escaping reality too long, you thought you could get away with this for too long. You thought you could blame your past for too long. You've been blaming your parents. You've been blaming your ex. You've been blaming your other boss. You've been blaming all of these things for too long. And it's like we have to create change in the tradition. Okay, this is Jupiter and Uranus together, this tradition. This takes a lot of time to create change in these old traditional ways of doing things. It takes courage and patience with ourselves to look in the mirror and say that I'm the reason that my life is the way that it is. And it also takes this right here. How am I dealing with information that's been given to me? Am I acting like a brat? Am I receiving it? Am I breathing and listening to what the person has to say? Am I only responding to how they're delivering the message, or am I responding to what they actually said? This is a big deal. This is a big deal with communication and belief right now when we're dealing with relationships and ourselves. And if it's just like, if we're in a conflict, let's not lie. Aries is conflict. Aries has confrontational energy to it. It's I need to speak my truth. I need to speak it right now. And if this truth is opposing this truth, if we have different ideas, well, let's communicate it right now so that we're not going to get into, let's not sweep it under the rug. Let's handle this right now. I'm not saying that we have to fight because we feel differently about something, but it's like, let's communicate about this and make sure, are we on the same page or are we not on the same page? And if we can confront each other and handle this at least with some sort of compassion, that's what this Pisces moon is also telling us right now, is handle this with compassion, right? That we've all been there, we've all done something, maybe told a white lie to try to cover our ass or something, and maybe been called out about it, and maybe the white lie was in good intentions or whatever. We're dealing with communications, we're dealing with thoughts, we're dealing with ourselves, with others, we're dealing with people confronting us. And showing, to show an individual their own shadow is to show them their own light. And it's not always easy being confronted. It's not always easy being called out on something, or it's not always easy having those confrontational conversations, right? But if we just keep sweeping things under the rug, they're going to build up and build up and build up and become a bigger issue down the road. So with our relationships, and all of this is saying take responsibility. I read an article this morning about a mother that's suing in North Carolina water park for her 4-year-old drowning because there was no lifeguard on duty. This is interesting belief, okay? This is a very interesting belief now because we're dealing with self, responsibility, and the other. Now, what's a 4-year-old doing swimming by itself without the mother's... What's the mother doing? Why does the mother evade responsibility and put it on the facilities? When I went to Germany in 2012, I was there for the end of the world. On December 21st, 2012, I happened to be in Germany. And they had something called the common sense law, which was new to me because I'm an American. And this common sense law, I was very fascinated when they didn't have like around like a merry-go-round or a Ferris wheel at these kind of little parks that were set up. You know, there's a big old Ferris wheel going around, and there's not these bars. You could literally walk up and rip your face right off. But the common sense law in Germany is if you don't have enough common sense to see that that's a giant machine and that's doing that, you have to take self-responsibility and accountability. You can't just blame us for your inadequacies, for your, you know, what did we talk about yesterday? We're blaming each other or priding each other on our ignorances, right? So that's my own ignorance thinking that I can just walk up there. It's, to me, in my personal, and it's just like, it's a shame, for one, that this poor child is, you know, had this happen to them. It's a shame that this family has had this happen to them. It's also a shame that the mother's not taking any responsibility and pointing to this company who is offering you, here's this place to come play, bring your family and have fun and enjoy yourselves. But now I'm not taking the responsibility as an adult, as a parent for my child. My child got injured and it's your fault. You know, so where do we pass the buck? Where do we keep the responsibility? Where do we take accountability for ourselves and our actions instead of just passing the buck and saying, oh, this is somebody else's fault and somebody else's problem? This is a very big deal. This is a very big issue with this eclipse. This is a very big deal here in the United States. I can't say about the politics of around the world, but we just pass the buck a lot. You know, we have to have the visor in the car that you put up to keep the sun out. It says remove before driving, otherwise you can sue somebody. Okay, our legal legislative system is really corrupt because of those things. So then, you know, how we got into this is when we have an issue sometimes with somebody, if somebody does something, what we can see quite often is, let's say person A has done something to upset person B. Now, person B has an emotional reaction because of what person A has done. Now, person B has an emotional reaction to person A. Now, person A is hearing the emotional reaction, and now person A is upset about the emotional reaction from person B. So person A is no longer listening to what they did that upset person B. They're only hearing the disrespect or the frustration being projected at them coming from person B. They're no longer aware of, hey, I have done something to cause an effect. I have pushed over the dominoes, and now the dominoes came back over, and that last domino hit me, and I'm upset for my being hit by the dominoes. We are focusing on the method of delivery. Hey, I'm upset with you because of what you did because of this thing. Right? And it's like we can negate completely what, let's say I'm person A. I'm going to completely negate what I have done to cause an emotional reaction to my friend, my partner, my lover, my colleague, parent, child, baby, whatever, you know. So if we're doing that, we also have to understand this is a form of manipulation. It's a form of taking and evading responsibility. It's evading my actions. It's evading my communication. It's evading my responsibility in this entanglement, in this cooperative, co-collaborative exchange of energy between human beings. So we have to really look, again, this is like looking in the mirror, is taking a long looking in the mirror at ourselves and saying, I am to blame for where I'm at right now. I have to take responsibility. And then every other human on this planet is a perfect reflection of you and is a perfect reflection of your greatest strengths and your greatest weaknesses. So as we find people coming into our lives, and this is very Piscean energy as well, the two fish, it's all reflection. So when we see people coming into our lives and we find, wow, I really like this thing about that person, that's an energy that you have inside of yourself. There's maybe a charismatic energy or a perseverance or a certain quality that they have. Well, that's also something that's inside of you. And when you see that in the other person, this is saying shine that aspect of yourself. Bring more of that part of you out, not to try to emulate them, but it's about your burning desires and what you enjoy in life, right? Venus is also in Aries during this eclipse. And then it's just the same when we see qualities in people that we might love these individuals. They might be our closest friends, but they can get on our nerves, or they can say or do these things that, like, oh my God, you drive me nuts when you do this. It's like, turn that mirror back onto self and recognize I do the same things, maybe to a different degree. You're a heightened version of it. You're a heightened version of this one thing that I don't like about myself. And then it's like this discovery now, this exploration and discovery. Is this something in myself that I don't like that I can find forgiveness for? And find love for, and find compassion for, and then forgive myself with this, and also forgive the other person of this? Or is this something where it's just like, no, this is a trait in myself. You're an alcoholic, and every day that you want to hang out with me, you use me for your alcoholism to want to go deeper into your sorrow and your pity, and I drink with you. Right? That could be the relationship. Or you smoke or do these drugs together. You know what I mean? We're talking about the moon right now, smash between Saturn and Neptune. And Pisces, there's a lot of evading, there's a lot of escaping reality, dealing with. I'm not a diet Nazi by any means. Like, there's a lot of delicious foods to eat. Sometimes what cilantro tastes like soap to some people, and sometimes people love the taste of it, right? So there's a lot of different and delicious foods in the world, and when people are like hardcore vegan or hardcore this specific diet, and like that, you have to have that diet. It's the same with like the Christians. It's the same with the religions. It's like, this is the only way to live. I love sharing things, but I'm very against this is the only way to live and the only way to do something, right? There's a lot of different ways to do that, and we have. With this energy going on right now, one is acceptance of other people living their lives and how they want to. There's a fair amount of standing up for what's right. If there's things that are involved that really seem off the charts, like we have to, as individuals, again, like talking about this, should the mother be allowed to sue the company? Should we be allowed to evade our personal responsibilities and sue an institution or sue these things for our inadequacies? We have a lot of like kind of checking ourselves right now to make sure, are we in alignment, or are we going to keep going down this path and escaping the responsibility of my own actions? So we can have people in our lives, in our environment, that use us, like we're talking now back to that, like that drinking thing. So now if I'm recognizing that part of myself, I don't like this drinking or smoking or drugs or whatever it is, and I notice there are certain individuals in my environment that really want to get together because they're in a bad space, they're in a bad mindset right now, and they need to escape reality, and they're going to call you because they're your good friend and you're there for them, and then you kind of spiral down together. So it's just like, how do I manage this? Do I kick you out of my life for a little while? Because this is like it's like the bad strawberry, the strawberry that's got some mold on it. You remove that moldy strawberry out of the equation, and the rest of your berries are going to stay healthy for a longer duration. You keep that strawberry that's got some fuzz on it in there, and the rest of your berries are going to get fuzzy pretty quick. So then it's just like pushing people away. It's just like, oh, well, I also have these same issues. I'm also dealing with similar things in my life that you're dealing with right now. Can we resolve these things together? And we have to make critical decisions in those spaces. And it's not about a lack of love for somebody, or a lack of compassion, or a lack of sympathy or empathy for an individual. If we're in those spaces, we have to push those things out of our lives. So just as much as the individual of our greatest strengths is amplifying those things that we want to bring out more and to show more of ourselves. When we have someone in our lives that's continuously negative, continuously escaping reality, or continuously pulling us down a path where we no longer want to be there, we also have to make those corrections and say, hey, and communicate it as well. This is what's going on, and this is how I feel, this is where I'm at. And it's not that I want to stop hanging out with you as a friend. I don't want to, I don't dislove you or any of these things, but I have to take care of myself right now, and I can't drink, or I can't smoke, or I can't do these things with you, and it's really hard for me to see you doing this to yourself. So then it's taking those appropriate steps and actions to have those conversations with people. And then as well, we're talking about relationships. Now, if you're still following along with me, I know I put out a lot of content these past couple of days, and it's all a bit long-winded, but I suppose there's a lot to share. Dealing with relationships, dealing with others, and we're talking about learning and beliefs. Okay, let's say you have a vegan diet. Let's say you are kale and almonds and blueberries and whatever. You have a vegan diet, and you love cats, and you're like, I'm gonna get a cat, and I'm gonna feed my cat my diet of almonds and blueberries and kale and whatever else in my vegan diet. You love the animal. You desire the animal. You desire the connection. We have to learn what the animal wants to eat. We have to learn what's going to fuel the animal, because it's not going to eat our diet of berries, kale, greens, nuts. It's not nutrients to that animal. It's not nutrients to their soul. So to have a relationship now, and also before I get ahead of myself, it's not the animal that's going to tell us what it wants. It's not the animal is going to tell us that it's frustrated. The animal might start acting in different ways, meowing, crying, pointing at something, snip, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't gotta get into all that, but like the animal is going to show its a lack of contentness. It's not at peace. It's not at ease right now, and there's no way for it to communicate. And we should be so thankful that humans can communicate. We have a similar language, most of us anyway. So it's up to us. It's up to the individual that wants their relationship to learn that of which the individual needs. I have to be able to feed the cat what the cat wants. I have to be able to get the kind of exercise toys or playthings for the cat that's going to entertain it, so it doesn't scratch up the couch or do these things, destroy my belongings that I paid for, which I value. Like, let's get it cat toys that it can, and a scratch post and all of these things. So if we don't take the time to learn what the other likes, what the other needs, we're going to continue to blame. I don't know, I feed the cat and it just won't eat. Like, I don't know, this cat sucks. It's not lovey or anything. It's like it has no food in its belly. And we're not doing what we need to do to learn what the animal needs. This is how relationships are. So again, a person to a person, we need to ask the questions. We need to communicate. And that's why I'm saying, thank God, thankfully, we can communicate. How do you like to communicate? What's your love language? What do you enjoy? We can, whether it's love, romance, or hey, how do we work as business partners? When you get into conflict, how do we handle this stuff? What do you like? How do you like to be talked to? How can we respect one another? How can we, it's like, this is a belief, it's an understanding between multiple people. And we might have a different belief of how we want to deal with something, and somebody else might have a different belief of how they want to be dealt with or talked to. So a lot of this, again, is like taking responsibility in ourselves to ask the right questions in the Google search, ask the right questions to the people to find out the answers that we need so us to have a better relationship with ourselves and the other, because there's no taking ourselves out of the outside world. It's a very lonely and difficult life to isolate ourselves and evade responsibility, evade social community, evade people. We need people, so taking the time to do what's necessary to learn how to engage with human beings and finding the right people that you can get out and connect with that bring that sense of heightened awareness, that sense of joy to yourself, that enthusiasm, so you're aligning yourselves with more individuals that are bringing out the best in you and not wanting to run away, escape, and not do hide underneath the covers and shine, close out the sun because whatever's going on in my life. It's like, all right, friends, that's enough out of me for today. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Sunday. Happy Saturday. I love you. I wish you enough.